the difference between sex-linked and sex-influenced? Have you heard about the sex-linked traits?
No. Mama, yung mga traits na pinapalabas lang on certain gender, not on both male and female.
Okay. So these are the traits which can be found in one gender only. How about the sex influence? Yes.
Mami, yung paglabas naman ng trait, depende naman sa babae naman. Iba naman yung expression mo.
Yung paglabas ng trait would actually depends if you are a male or a female. Okay? Any other understanding about the sex link and sex influence? Do you know any trait that is said to be sex link? Color blindness is one. Okay, so color blindness is actually a sex link or an X link recessive. Okay, so when you say sex link, these are the traits, okay, from which the genes controlling the trait are found in the sex chromosomes. Okay, so if you can still remember, if your 2n is equal to 46 in human, okay, you have 23 bivalents because n is equal to 23. Therefore, the first to the 22nd bivalent would be considered as the first to the 22nd bivalent would be considered as autosomal chromosomes or the body chromosomes, and the 23rd bivalent is actually what we refer to as the sex chromosome, which can be made up of either two X's or an X and a Y. Okay? So when we say two X's, we are actually pertaining to what particular gender?
Female.
Okay. So this one is a female and this one is a male. Okay? So when you find the genes controlling the trait in one of these sex chromosomes, therefore you call that one as sex link. Did you get that? That's why when you have the sex link, it can either be an X-link dominant or it can either be an X-link recessive. What is the difference between the two? This one, the gene controlling this, is actually composed of a dominant allele which is found in the X chromosome. Okay? This one, you need the recessive allele in order to express the trait in the X chromosome. Did you get that? Okay? Or it can be a Y dominant or Y link dominant. Or Y link. So this is Y link dominant or Y link recessive. Okay? So a good example of your X-linked dominant, if you are familiar, is actually the Fragile X syndrome. So Fragile X syndrome is usually dominant over the female's mother, and accompanied to this disease is actually mental retardation. Okay? So when you say X-linked recessive, one of which is color blindness. Okay, so you are already familiar with this. Same is true if you are familiar with the royal disease. Okay, what is that? Hemophilia. Okay, or the bleeding disease. Okay, so they actually contain less amount of platelets. Therefore, they have this bleeding disease. For the Y link, specifically the dominant one, we have what we refer to as hypertrichosis. Hypertrichosis is a hairy, excessive hairy structure behind your ears. Okay, so the portion of the ears, you have hairy structure. Okay, so that is what we refer them to as hypertrichosis. Okay.
Gigi ka.
Hindi ito sa likod ng tenga. The distinct node is because this is widening. Therefore, the transmission of this disease is only from father to the son. Okay? So don't be bothered for the females.
Tingin ka pa ha.
You have hypertrichosis
Tingin ka pa.
because it won't be transmitted. Okay? Oh, how about the sex influence? What do you mean by sex influence? If this is the sex link, they are found in the sex chromosomes. The sex influence, the genes controlling this one are actually found or located in the autosomal chromosome. Okay? So a good example of this one will be the pattern baldness. Are you familiar with this? Okay, so yung hair loss to. But this one usually prefer the expression in males. Okay? So when you say sex influence, the genes controlling the particular trait is actually found in the autosomal chromosome. Specifically in this regard, for pattern baldness, this is actually found in the chromosome number 20. It doesn't have something to do with the gender, with the X and the Y chromosome, but okay, the expression of this disease would actually depend on the gender. So meron tayong tinatawag dito na gender preferences. Okay? It's because you have a lot of testosterone that is produced in male that would actually increase the production or rather the expression of your pattern baldness. Okay? So there is something that would actually trigger which cannot be found more in female. Did you get that? Okay? So this is what we term to as sex influence. Okay, so let's have a problem with regards to this one. So how are we going to solve a particular problem?